disappointed he didn't get more as Liverpool...
What, money?
More, yes, and once again dominate their opposition. This time it is West Ham with a 5-0 victory. Just taking a look at what that means at the top of the table. Liverpool, of course, will be first going into 2025. They are currently 8 points clear of Nottingham Forest in second. We'll talk about Forest a little bit later on, but we'll kick things off with Arne Slot's side as welcome in Nedum Onuoha to the show. We'll be in from Nedum in a moment, but they are just superior, Liverpool, to every team they face at the moment, Craig.
Relentless. Relentless, surprisingly good, although not now, but at the start of the season, we all talked about them and said, look, the transition's going to be maybe a slow one. It might not be as silky smooth as people think or people hoped, and I think we've all been wrong. I mean, it's been incredible. He's taken it to another level thus far. Now, they haven't won anything yet, but I don't see anybody stopping them. And look, West Ham, under Lopetegui defensively, have been atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I mean, you can just pull them all over the place. That being said, Liverpool are doing this to a lot of teams. And you mentioned it, there's a sort of a thirst and a quest to really hammer teams and not to feel sorry for them and to get goals. And they've got goals in every area of their side, whether it be from the full-back or the centre-halves from set pieces to the midfielders or to anybody who plays in those forward positions. Be it even Dia, even Darwin Núñez, to be fair, but certainly Diego Jota and definitely the three that played today. So he's got all these options and they just look seamless when they are, I don't know, Robbo, like when they're passing the ball and then they pass it in the move, and if one player pops up in one position, another player fills in the other one, and they just at the moment. And it's not this sort of swashbuckling Jurgen Klopp when they were playing at Anfield. And
it's not that rock and roll, is it?
Yeah, it's still not that, but it's like a silk scarf. It's just smooth, and it's efficient, and more importantly, it's clinical in the final third.
How smooth is a silk scarf? How efficient is it?
I didn't buy a silk scarf for Christmas, but I can only imagine. They're quite smooth.
I like that. I like that Christmas analogy.
I like the midfield as well today.
Right.
You know, and Craig was just talking about they seem to know where the next pass is. It's almost they know where the next one on from that. You know, they were playing balls square for McAllister to know there's the next pass round the corner. McAllister kept on winning the ball back. Gravenberch has done brilliantly as the holding midfield player, a position that I never thought he could play. And then Jones, you know, you're talking about the front three. Jones was quite often in the centre forward position. When Diaz came short, he made the forward runs. The movement, the knowledge of where the next pass was going to go, the setting up of the move. I think at the moment they are playing some outstanding football.
Nedum, you think back, you know, all that time ago when Manchester City were good. They would be getting goals from everywhere, and this is what Liverpool are delivering as well. They're not just relying on one person. Everyone seems to be in form at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got to mention the fact that Salah has scored the most goals in the league, and it's by some way over any of his Liverpool teammates. But you're right in terms of the way that they attack, and what the guys are saying there, I completely echo it. When you watch them play, as a former player, it's so interesting to see because nothing is independent. You know, if one person runs down the line, the other person comes short. If a midfielder goes high, one goes short. You've got someone like Van Dijk at the back who's very good at dictating the tempo of a game. If his team have been rushed around for a bit, he'll put his foot on it. If his team's under a bit of pressure, well, here comes a diagonal to Salah. And more impressively as well, like when they go and they hit you on the break, they don't overcommit. So that when the ball gets turned over, we saw a few times in this West Ham game, especially in the second half, West Ham are now attacking. They've got to break down a back four and 2 6s. You know, the fluidity, the way they're doing it, it's smooth as a silk scarf, as Craig said himself. You know, that's a great way to describe it. And yeah, it's special to see. They're far and away the best team in the league at this moment in time. And as you look at them, you know, you don't really, in my opinion anyway, you don't really have questions because they've got the majority of their players available. Maybe with Gomez being out and Konate being out. You know, I think Slot doesn't necessarily fancy Quansah as much as, say, some other players. But you look out on the field, you've got players on that pitch who've won the league before. You've got a player McAllister who's won a World Cup before. And you've got players in Salah exactly who are doing the same thing, who've dominated the Premier League for so many years. They are so good. And the way they keep dismantling teams, it really is special to see.
I don't see a blip in them, do you?
Well, I mean, we mentioned obviously Joe Gomez going off today, Quansah coming in. How much of a difference does that make at the back?
Well, the upside here is, and I know we'll get to Tottenham and others in a bit, but you're not losing the full shebang.
Right.
You still have the most disciplined defender in the Premier League, Virgil van Dijk, at the back to sort of marshal any sort of problems. Andy Robertson in the first half got caught out on the ball, dwelling on it a little bit, which he has done this season on more than one occasion, but they managed to bail it out. So there's
a bit more emphasis now that they've got to keep Van Dijk fit. You know, because if they now lose Van Dijk, where's the next centre half coming in? Because he, as Nedum said, I don't think he fancies Quansah that much. He took him off in that very first game of the season after about half time and said he wasn't winning his battles, and he's hardly put him in since. Now he's going to have to be the number one centre half if Van Dijk ever got injured, and that can be the only blip I can see.
What's impressed you most with what Arne Slot's done with this?
I'm sure he's got the sort of patterns of play in what he wants, but I'm impressed with the intelligence of the players. You know, we've talked about it. You know, the movement of the players. One goes short, one goes long. You still, even though a manager can give you all the positional rotations, he can set your team up, you've still got to have intelligent footballers. And I think those players are showing their intelligence at the moment. And I'm sure Arne Slot is letting them show their intelligence as well.
It's interesting you mentioned Salah, Nedum. He was speaking afterwards and says that he's obviously disappointed that things haven't gone further with regards to contract talks up to now. It doesn't seem to be affecting him at all on the pitch.
He was having an argument. Last time Liverpool played West Ham, he was coming off the bench, I believe, and Klopp was having an argument with him. All that drama, and now you fast forward, and yes, the goals are there, the assists are there, the smiles there, and his team is top of the Premier League. So yeah, I'm sure he hopes that they would sort something out by now, but it's going to be very interesting next week when he can start speaking to other clubs as well. So maybe that will speed things up from Liverpool's perspective to try and keep him there for as long as possible.
Get back to Salah. I got back to Salah. Just to that question you said about Liverpool and what's made them so good thus far. Why are they different? I think for me, there's been many things, but I think the control in their play. But they've managed to be as equal or big a threat going forward, and still made themselves less vulnerable going that way.
Yeah.
Now, not to say that they haven't been vulnerable on occasions or teams haven't got at them, but not.
How have they done that?
I think because the position, particularly of one or two of the midfielders, and particularly Gravenberch, is taking up positions that are going to affect the game if this sort of front three, or front whatever, if it breaks down, he's in a good position. Secondly, they have definitely been less gung-ho with the full-backs. They have not left the two centre-backs as open and, you know, as like a two-on-two. They haven't. They've kind of done more of well, dare I say it, back in the old days, one full-back goes forward, one sort of tucks in a little bit. There's been a little bit more of that. So they've been able to have this massive threat going forward, but still giving themselves, I think at this moment in time, a much better insurance policy at the back end, which was one criticism sort of Liverpool towards the end, that it was too gung-ho. Back on the Salah thing, it's the best worst-case scenario, isn't it? You want to win everything. Liverpool they're favourites to win the league. I don't think there's a better team than Europe at this moment in time. That's not to suggest they're going to win the Champions League, but they're certainly playing better. So you want all this stuff, but every time he bangs in another performance like that, his contract negotiations are not going down the way.
No, you're holding.
And this is a ransom. And I'm not suggesting that Mo Salah is holding Liverpool to ransom. But guess what? It's kind of the game that him and his agent are in. And where's the cut-off?
And today, West Ham and Lopetegui set up his team to stop Mo Salah and Alexander-Arnold. He put Emerson out on the wide left to stop Alexander-Arnold coming forward, and he put Wan-Bissaka, his quickest player, his quickest defender, who's done it against Salah before when he was playing for Manchester United. He put him out on the left-hand side, and he couldn't cope with him. He couldn't get the positional right. The runs of Mo Salah were perfect, when to run short, when to run on that diagonal, and West Ham just couldn't cope with him. He was absolutely magnificent.
So this is a nightmare for not at the moment, but for Arne Slot, because he really, I mean, he's, you know, talk about building the club and taking over from Klopp. He doesn't care if they pay Mo Salah.
It's not his money, is it?
No, all he wants to care is about, all he cares about really is success on the field. He understands there's going to be budget restrictions, but he just wants another couple of years out of this guy to keep. Thanks very much. I'll keep this going. This is making me look great. He's not the only one. Of course, he's not. Luis Diaz and all these other players are playing great. But this is the big one. I mean, we'd imagine that Van Dijk will sign. I think Alexander-Arnold will probably go. But you can't replace that. You can't. And it's intriguing. I don't think he'll talk to other clubs. Nedum was mentioned in January. He's absolutely right. I mean, he can go and talk to other clubs. What would be the point of Mo Salah taking a ransom to go to Saudi Arabia. When he's at this stage in his career, with millions in the bank, and Liverpool are paying him millions, and he is the darling of the eye of these Liverpool fans, he's the most informed player, European world football. What's the point taking this double your money in Saudi Arabia when you've got... I wouldn't understand that, to be honest.
West Ham fans obviously not enjoyed what they saw today. I doubt Arsenal fans were that happy either, considering the performance that once again Liverpool put in.